There's been some talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocked him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, by the sounds of it, there's 50 million reasons why Anthony Joshua's taking this fight. In my head, I never, ever thought this fight would happen. Why? Because of Anthony Joshua's desire to be in the history books, to be a three-time heavyweight champion of the world. To me, it shows me his desire. Pick up 50 million along the way. Nobody can knock him for this. This is now business.
Heavyweight veterans begun voicing their thoughts on a potential showdown between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury didn't mince words when asked how he sees such a clash unfolding. Speaking to The Ring months earlier, he said he didn't believe in the idea of a warm-up fight for Joshua and boldly predicted that Jake Paul would flatten him. According to Fury, Paul would put a J out because Joshua is burning out while Paul's momentum keeps building. Fury even complimented Paul's new frame, stockier, heavier, and more suited to the division. He praised Paul's win over the aging Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., a former middleweight, and said he enjoyed Paul's habit of calling out fighters from every weight class, jokingly dubbing them range-to-range callouts.
About possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocked him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's in spent fourth, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look. Bit chubby, bit bulky.
Twist. Paul hinted that a matchup with Joshua wasn't guaranteed when he posted on X, "It's not holding my breath for 2025. Too many yes men. Joshua's last outing was a devastating knockout loss to Daniel Dubois at Wembley in 2024, and his prolonged inactivity has pushed him outside the heavyweight rankings. After Paul's planned fight with Gervonta Davis was abruptly scrapped, The Ring's Mike Coppinger reported that Paul and the former two-time heavyweight champion Joshua were ironing out terms for a Netflix main event on Friday. According to Coppinger, the contract being finalized was for an officially sanctioned heavyweight contest, counting on both fighters' professional records. Eddie Hearn confirmed it. 3-minute rounds, 60-second breaks, 10-ounce gloves. Rumors suggest the purse could be split evenly, potentially giving each fighter around £70 million simply for stepping into the ring. Paul declared he would beat Joshua, claiming AJ can't take a punch. And in a bizarre twist, Tyson Fury, whose own brother Tommy handed Paul his lone defeat, is siding with Paul over his British rival. Paul, now 12-1, with bouts against names like Mike Tyson and Chavez Jr., finds himself in the spotlight. Meanwhile, Hearn told BBC Radio 5 that people were jumping the gun, insisting Joshua already has major plans involving Fury next year. He noted that if a stay-busy bout happens beforehand and Paul wants to risk derailing his own streak, they might consider it, but nothing was locked in. Joshua reportedly told Sport 1 that Fury still owes him a fight, former title challenger. Derek Chisora also weighed in, offering a brutally blunt take. In a conversation with Seconds Out, he predicted that AJ would destroy Paul. Chisora said, "I'm excited. We can finally end this Jake Paul nonsense. If that fight happens, someone's going to jail. AJ is going to kill him. It's unfair. Somebody has to go to jail." He added that Paul will study Joshua's loss to Dubois and try to attack early, but said the real outcome hinges entirely on how AJ approaches the fight. In his view, Paul doesn't possess the punch to drop Joshua, and the fight ends with Paul leaving in an ambulance. Andy Ruiz Jr. offered his own viewpoint in an interview with Covers. Ruiz acknowledged that Paul has drawn new attention to boxing. It criticized the quality of opposition Paul has chosen, claiming it's disrespectful to target smaller, older fighters. Ruiz said he'd prefer to see Paul fight someone appropriate to his level, joking that he'd even volunteer himself. When pressed on how a potential matchup would go, Ruiz predicted he'd pressure Paul, attack the body, feint, and overwhelm him within 4 rounds. What once sounded like promotional fantasy now feels within reach. Anthony Joshua, the former Olympic gold medalist and 2-time unified champion, is looking to re-establish himself in the title picture, though a fight with Paul would effectively serve as a lucrative tune-up. Paul's resume, anchored by a single loss to Tommy Fury, makes a bout with an elite heavyweight seem reckless at best. Johnny Nelson also reacted to the news of the proposed matchup.
For Jake Paul, absolutely crazy. Jake Paul is a domestic level professional fighter here in the UK. Would he win a British title? No, I don't think so. So now they're putting this domestic level fighter in with a former heavyweight 2-time champion of the world. The weight is 245. So I think last time Anthony Joshua weighed around that was when he boxed Usyk. That means he's got to be fight fit on point, because his last fight he was 18 stone. I think it was 254 against Danny Dubois. So now he basically saying you've got to get yourself in position, get yourself fit, and get yourself ready for fight. It's not tiddlywinks. This is a fight. It's not a pushing up.
Former cruiserweight world champion Tony Bellew is firmly against the idea, yet he shared with the Stomping Ground his prediction for its duration. It lasts as long as Joshua wants. That's it. The pro boxer decides when the curtain drops. David Haye warned that no alternate rule set would spare Paul from a vicious knockout if Joshua lets his hands go, despite the criticism surrounding Paul's opposition, mostly former MMA athletes. Paul has become one of the most discussed figures in the sport. His biggest win came against a 59-year-old Mike Tyson last year. His only defeat was to Tommy Fury, whose profile mostly comes from reality TV rather than boxing success. Joshua, by contrast, is a 2-time heavyweight champion and one of the era's most dangerous fighters. Haye labeled this the easiest fight AJ could choose, noting that Paul is essentially a cruiserweight with 13 total fights and a loss to a novice. Speaking to Metro, Haye said, "This isn't Fury. This isn't even Ngannou. If AJ is allowed to punch him in the head, the fight lasts however long AJ feels like keeping it going." Concerns have been raised about Paul's safety, given Joshua's fight-tending power. Francis Ngannou experienced this firsthand when Joshua knocked him out brutally in March 2024. Haye argued that Paul's only hope of avoiding long-term damage is if Joshua ends it quickly. Lingering beatings over multiple rounds, Haye explained, cause far more severe injuries. He predicted a rapid Ngannou-style finish, saying that a swollen face or fractured orbital bone might be the best-case scenario for Paul. Joshua has been away from the ring for over a year after his knockout defeat to Dubois in 2024, a night he hoped would bring him a third heavyweight crown. Some media figures and retired fighters think Joshua is risking his legacy by taking on someone with Paul's background. However, boxing has a long history of absurd matchups, including Fury versus Ngannou in 2023. Many believe it won't tarnish Joshua's resume. If anything, a quick demolition could enhance his star power. The announcement caught many off guard, especially since Paul was preparing to face Gervonta Davis. Davis and Joshua may share fame, but physically, they are worlds apart. Joshua stands nearly a foot taller and weighs close to 100 pounds more. The idea that Paul could pivot from Davis to Joshua in a matter of weeks requires a completely different style and strategy. Though Paul hinted the December date might fall through, all signs still point toward a collision perhaps in January, though December remains viable. Dana White, long one of Paul's most vocal critics, reacted after UFC 322 by calling the fight a terrible idea, repeating it multiple times, but admitted he would absolutely watch it. White believes fans tuning in will finally get what they've been waiting for: Joshua dismantling Paul.
The fight that's reportedly being worked on for December 19th in Miami.
Did I see the fight being worked on December 19th in Miami?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know which fight I'm talking about?
No.
Fair enough.
Oh, Jesus. That's a fucking bad idea. That's a bad idea. But let me tell you what. A lot of people will watch that one.
Will you watch it?
Sure. You know what everybody's tuning in for on that one. I think everybody's going to get what they've finally been waiting for.
Lopsided nature of this matchup, which Jake Paul originally demanded back in March, has already drawn plenty of backlash. Paul set his sights on Joshua after being rejected by Canelo Alvarez. On his former podcast, Paul said, "I know my limits. I want Joshua because I know I can beat Joshua. He's stiff, he's got no chin, and he's got no skill. I love you, AJ, but I want to fight you." Instead of targeting Joshua immediately, Paul took a completely different path by signing 2 Fight WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Tank Davis, who stands 5'5" and weighs nearly 100 pounds less than Joshua. Their show was canceled after Davis became involved in a legal dispute. Paul's promotion later released a statement saying that after conducting its own investigation, the event would not proceed. MVP and Netflix reaffirmed that Paul would still headline a 2025 show. Paul then posted a screenshot of a Muhammad Ali speech, implying his own mindset. "All of you chumps are going to bow when I whoop him. I'm going to show you how great I am." The proposed Joshua fight is expected to be 8 3-minute rounds with both men wearing 10-ounce gloves. And regardless of the outcome, the result will appear on their official records. Paul has since confirmed the fight publicly, stating he will go head-to-head with the former 2-time heavyweight champion on Netflix on December 19th. A press conference is set for November 21st. Paul wrote, "Yes, it's real," followed by another post saying, "This Friday, I'm going to square him up." And later teasing, "From Deji to Joshua Sup." This bout is shaping up as a true professional heavyweight contest, not a novelty exhibition. The venue is reportedly Miami. Media coverage has exploded because this represents Paul's greatest leap in opposition and a major payday for Joshua. The stakes depend on weight, preparation, and how both camps negotiate final details. The overarching narrative is clear. Paul is chasing legitimacy, and Joshua is accepting a high-income showcase with far more to lose than to gain. The November 21st press event will clarify the tone, and the December 19th broadcast is already poised to be one of the biggest sports spectacles of the year. Joshua must weigh in at or below 245 pounds, a mark he hasn't consistently hit in his last 5 fights. He last made that weight against Alexander Usyk in 2022. Joshua said, "Jake or anyone can get this work. No mercy. I stepped away and now I'm coming back with something huge. I'm here to make massive fights, massive numbers, and break every record. I'm about to break the internet over Jake Paul's face." Paul fired back, "This isn't an AI simulation. This is Judgment Day. When I beat Joshua, every doubt dies." I'm sorry, United Kingdom.
Well, my thoughts on it is that Jake Paul's had a lot of accusations over the years for a guy who's had no amateur fights. What's he had, about 10 or 12
Fights, yeah.
fights? I'm not sure what he's had. And, you know, you look at the opposition he's had and people saying, when's he going to fight somebody? He stepped up. He's stepping up to a 2-time world champion, a genuine heavyweight, a proper heavyweight champion, and an active fighter. And this is a big moment for him. And you got to take your hat off to him for that. As regarding AJ, I'm sure AJ's wants a fight back after that, that unbelievable loss he had against Daniel Dubois. That was quite an emphatic loss. He wants to come back, get himself, dip his toe in the water. He's going to get paid a lot of money for this. This fight's going to generate a lot of money because for me, it's a fighter. Jake Paul's going to be a massive underdog against a big favourite, a big odds-on favourite. Can he do it or not? This is a car crash, and people will watch it because that's what people do at car crashes. And that's what this